Day 2 broadcasting live from the Wayfarer Hotel in downtown Los Angeles from the Alice Conference. Whew, what a long day last night. Anthony.
We're live?
Is
this on?
I don't know if I'm completely alive. Let's find out.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. We know it's your favorite hotel-focused podcast. Anthony Melchiori right over there. I'm Glenn Hausman. So great to see you on January 25th, 2022, Anthony.
Talk about focus. Your camera looks out of focus.
It does?
It looks like there's something on a lens or something, right?
I don't know.
Right?
Hold on.
Dr. Producer?
How's that? All right. And now everyone's just taking sides and picking on me, but that is okay. Anthony, so what was your experience like yesterday here at Alice?
What was it like? It was fun. We had a nice party last night here at the hotel. We had a great podcast, and I got to spend time with you, and I actually got to spend time with some old friends.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, tomorrow night, just so everybody knows, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, we're doing a special Friday night audit from the rooftop here at the Wayfarer. Also, we'll have a regular show at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 p.m. New York time. Anthony, I'm so excited about today's guest. What do you say? We should jump right in. Anthony, some of those buttons on the keyboard are not going to work for you. So
okay,
it's not going to
Then I'm trying to tell you again that your camera looks a little foggy to me.
I don't know.
It might be me.
I don't know what's going on, but it looks okay to me on my end. Really strange. I think I might have a little wigwammy stuff with
So
the
how was
internet
before
access.
we get to our guest, how was your day yesterday? You really enjoyed it? Fun?
Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I had a great day. I love these events because it's a real great time to have hopefully meaningful bump-ins with a lot of people and just catch up with some old friends, make some new friends, and just have a lot of interaction.
And there was no COVID talk, which I really enjoyed.
I think everybody's kind of over it, but let's talk about how we're all going to be moving forward as an industry. And to do that, we have triumphant, I would call it, return to our show, President of Red Roof, George Limbert. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Great to be on.
So it's great to have you back. The last time we had you here was at the AHOA conference. And it's funny because now we're doing 2 shows with you and both happen to be live with each other in person. How fun is that? But George, what's your vibe over here at Alice? What are you thinking? What was some of the feedback you were getting yesterday?
Everybody's excited to see each other again. Everybody's excited to have thought leadership talking about our industry. Everybody's bullish on the industry, which is really positive and really good. But there's still a lot of recovery to get through. But everybody seemed pretty excited.
And congratulations! I don't think you were present last time you were on the call.
No, I was
interim.
I was the
you got the call to the game or to the big show in September, right?
Yes. Yeah, I got tapped in. They needed a lefty to come in and close out the game, so I got tapped in.
Are you allowed to be a lawyer and a president of a brand? Is that allowed?
Yes. Well, they had to get a variance from the International Hotel Branding Coalition, but it's okay. It worked out. Now, George, we're going to get into everything that you guys are up to at Red Roof. But the question I got for you is, I know that you're doing a panel today. What's that all about? What are you guys going to hope to talk about?
Yeah, so we're talking about branding. So we've got a great panel, the CEO of Yotel, and it's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of great conversation. CEO of Omni is going to be on the panel as well. And we're going to talk about why branding a hotel makes a lot of sense for a lot of people.
But on those panels, not to be critical, but on those panels, it seems sometimes it's not the greatest time to have controversy or to have conflict or to really be truthful about what's happening, because everybody's trying to kind of, hold their own and not look too controversial and say kind of the same thing. How do you manage those panels? So I've been on those panels many times, and I always find like I'm the odd man out because I want to say something, and I typically do, and then I'm not politically correct. So how do you really say what's on your mind and not just follow what everybody else is saying?
Well, you've got to be true to yourself. That's for sure. And you've got to understand where the other folks are coming from on the panel, but you also want to be able to make your points clear and have a healthy debate is why people want to show up. And that's the conversation. Yeah.
Can I ask another hard question, Glenn?
Yeah. Yes, you have my permission.
Okay. So right now, a lot of owners, a lot of developers I'm talking to is, their people are struggling. They're they're at the front desk. Joe manages the cleaning rooms. It's very difficult. Resources are thin. We all could talk about occupancy and expenses till the cows come home. But really what I'm hearing a lot is, what is the brand bringing to the table when so many people, so many brands have let the executives go and haven't brought a lot of executives back? So they're doing a lot more with a lot less. So what do you say to those owners?
Well, this is, I mean, Red Roof, first of all, is a little bit of the exception. You know, our recovery started in April of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And we started cycling over 2019 in April of 2021. So
Wow.
we felt pretty good. We had a great year last year. But what do I say to the folks that are skeptical about brands is that we have some of the greatest minds working on all the hotelier issues. Take the labor shortage, for instance. Instead of you as an individual independent hotel looking at your hotel saying, how am I going to solve for the labor shortage? We at the brand level are looking at all of our hotels, and we're trying to figure out what is best practices that we can use and utilize at all the various hotels. So effectively, we're standing shoulder to shoulder with you as we are trying to recover through this pandemic together.
Well, one of the things that you're doing to really, I think, learn and figure out all of these out is you're continuing your look and listen tour, something we talked about on stage at your regional events, but we didn't have a chance to talk about it here.
Yeah.
How many properties have you visited so far, and what has that experience been like for you, meeting the people and learning more about the property level activities of the brand?
Yeah. So I had a very lofty goal. It's my goal to go to all 670 Red Roof hotels and Hometown Studios extended stay hotels, hopefully in the lower 48. So we have a few international that I might get to a little bit later on, but it's my goal to get to them. I've been to 79 already, starting in June of last year. I'm going to 7 more tomorrow and Thursday in the California market. And you know, and I think this goes back to your question, Anthony. One of the most important things that we as brand leaders can do is be in touch at the ground level. And one of the worst things we as brand leaders can do is make decisions from a white tower. And that's why I initiated the Look and Listen tour, is I want to get out there. I want to understand what was happening at the inn level, at the hotel level, and really see how much impact and change I can make at the brand level to really help accommodate and enhance the experience of our franchisees and our guests.
What happens when you're seeing hotels that are not up to your standard, and you know the owner is struggling, and the owner is like, listen, I'm not going to be able to meet that new PIP or meet that standard? I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of conversations happening right now.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, at Red Roof, we pride ourselves on being exceptionally franchisee friendly. And our focus is on experience and value. And if it's not going to harm the experience, if you don't have to put that brand new, you know, piece of furniture in, that's your furniture that you have already is okay, then let's wait a little bit. So what we try to do is we really try to meet the owner where they are,
Right.
understand where they're at in the recovery, and how much we can get done.
Well, that's really essential. And one of the things that I'm hearing, a lot of the other brands out there are starting to put pressure on the property owners. It's time to invest in renovation. You got to meet that PIP. But it sounds like you're being a lot more practical about it. You have to spend money when you have to spend money, but you're not going to make people spend money if they don't need to spend that money.
Absolutely. If it doesn't hurt the experience of the guest, then we're not going to ask you to do it at this point.
Right. So what is the experience of the guests ultimately that you would like people to walk away from when they stay at a Red Roof?
Well, look, Red Roof it's been about the basics. It's about a clean, comfortable room at an affordable price with great customer service. That's the experience that we have to put out there for the guests. But we also want to make sure that our franchisees enjoy their experience at Red Roof. And so how do you merge the two together is really what my presidency has been all about so far.
Right. So what are you really learning? Have you figured out anything that now that you could introduce brand wide by doing the Look and Listen tour at this point? Or are you still formulating
No,
ideas?
you know, we made some minor changes, but impactful changes.
Right.
You know, simple changes that I would call common sense. But until we got out there and saw it, we just weren't thinking about it. So just as simple as we have a snack box in the room. in one of our Plus Red Roof Plus properties premium rooms. The snack box in the room typically was put in the refrigerator. A guest would come in, they may not open the refrigerator, they may not see it. So we saw one of our franchisees was putting the snack box, which didn't need, by the way, refrigeration, on top of the dresser. So the guest could see it. So that helps, again, talk about experience of the franchisee, experience of the guest. It helps the guest because they see the snack box, they get the opportunity to utilize it. And then it helps the franchisee because you don't have this waste going on when the product wasn't being used. And so it turns over the product better. So it just works out. So we made the decision. We said, hey, we're changing the brand standard on the spot and we're going to put the box on the dresser. So simple stuff like that is what we've been really focused on.
Wow. Well, congratulations on making it to 60,000 rooms with the brand. That's really incredible strides.
60,000?
Yeah, 60,000 rooms.
Holy crap.
Which is pretty awesome. So what was it like getting there over that hump to 60,000? And what does this portend for the future for you guys then?
Well, I mean, everybody knows this. Growth was difficult during the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic, but we still were able to grow. We were still able to sign new franchise agreements and open new hotels. And as a result, we hit a milestone for Red Roof. And we're excited for that, but we're not going to rest on our laurels. We think that the growth proposition at Red Roof is great. Red Roof Inn is going to continue to be an incredible conversion brand. There's a lot of space for Red Roof Inn to run in. And then we've got this great new construction prototype in Hometown Studios. Basic economy, extended stay is the future of franchising in our minds. Wow.
Why is extended stay the future of franchising?
It is we all know it, right? It's the segment that performed the best during the pandemic. It's the segment that performed the best in 2021. And at Red Roof, our extended stay brand outperformed its comp set by 20 points during both years. So, I mean, it is the performance numbers are there. The efficiencies are there. The ability to run the hotel with 6 to 12 people, the ability to have efficiencies such as the laundry room right behind the front desk so you can cross-train your employees. It's all about kind of dealing with the pandemic, dealing with the labor shortage, but also building an efficiency that's a great guest experience and a great franchise experience as well.
And how are you feeling that the owners are dealing with the labor shortage? As far as, listen, a lot of markets, you just have to increase rates. And sometimes that's enough. Many times it's not. They want more flexibility. So how are you feeling owners are dealing with that?
Yeah, no, we're seeing a lot of that across the board, right? Increase the rates. That way, maybe lower the occupancy a little bit. And that way there's not as many turnover rooms to clean. We're seeing that it's difficult because there's a lot of rooms left on the table. This summer, most especially, out of order rooms was a challenge across the entire industry. And so the most successful owners that we've seen are the ones, and this is not, this isn't rocket science, right? Are the ones who treat their employees the best.
Right.
We had Glenn, if you remember, there was a franchisee at our regional who stood up and said an employee couldn't come to work, so he bought her a car.
Right. Yeah, which is absolutely an incredible thing to have done. But yeah, those same type of franchisees. It was interesting because a number of your people that I spoke to when I was at these regional events really understood the value of paying more for the employees. They're really starting to get that if you treat the people great, engage them, and give them a little bit of empowerment while paying them a good salary and offering flexibility, you won't have to pay ridiculous costs to replace those employees every couple of months, which will wind up causing you to spend a lot more money than if you had just paid your people more in the first place.
Absolutely. The cost of turnover in our industry is incredible. The cost to train somebody to onboard, with all the labor shortage issues. If you just, look, I'm an Ohio State guy, right? I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. Red Roof is headquartered out of Columbus, Ohio. And I always like to talk about Woody Hayes. And Woody Hayes, the great Ohio State football coach, said, you win with people. And that's what you do,
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's taken so long in our industry for a lot of owners to get that.
Yes, no question. But I mean, this is the benefit of the Look and Listen tour, is that I get to see those who got it right, and those who aren't getting it so right. And I get to talk to them. And that's, going back to the panel, that's the benefit of branding. You get to talk to those who aren't getting it right and talk to them and say, hey, look, your buddy over in the other location is doing this. Why don't you try it? See if it works.
Yeah, that's interesting because, like, you bell curve is the way humanity is with all sorts of things, right? And when it comes to owners of hotels and those that work in it, I see that bell curve happening. And I'm not saying this is at Red Roof. I'm saying I've seen this at every single company event that I've ever been to. Certain franchisees are highly engaged. They create new things. They add to it, while most are doing what they need to do. And then you have the 10% at the bottom that are totally disengaged and don't want to do anything. That's a challenge for you, George, and all the other brands out there. How do you get them to come on board and see your wisdom and help push the company forward by them, stepping up?
Yeah, look, I mean, at Red Roof, and this is, I'm sure, true of other brands, the average tenure of our operations team is 17 years. So you have this partner that's going to help you operate your business. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we all had businesses where we had somebody who came in who was basically there to help us figure out our way and how to operate the business? And that's what franchise operations directors do. And so that franchise operations director is going to go in, they're going to work with the hotels, that 10%, and we're going to get to a point where we're going to make a decision. Can we do this? Can we do this together? Or is this something that you don't want to do? And maybe we should look and see if we can help you sell your hotel.
So, I mean, it's interesting with these people trying to get them to move forward and stuff like that. So you probably find it's better to offer the carrot than give them the stick, because I remember a lot of brands, they would come on every year, just so everybody knows, all the major brands typically have an annual event. The last couple of years, that's been kind of screwy for a lot of the brands, but it's a big cheerleading session. And a lot of times they come on and they're like, and we got rid of their bottom 10% of the brands and we replaced them, blah, 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 and all of that kind of stuff. But I don't think that really reaches the root issue, right? You could probably do a lot better by educating them and getting them to understand your ways than kicking them out of the system, right?
Yeah, look, we look at our franchise owners as true partners. And look, we talked about being a lawyer, and not in the legal sense of partnership that causes joint liability, but in the sense of a true partnership. We work with them, we shoulder with them, we shouldered with them during COVID, and that's our intention. And that's the intention of the organization. It's been in the DNA of the organization well before I got there, and it will be in the DNA of Red Roof well after I leave.
Well, you said DNA, and that's true. And what you said about, well, sometimes you don't, these companies come on and say we push the bottom 10%, but a lot of those people just don't have the DNA of hospitality,
right?
And it's not about they're bad people. It's not about they even want to listen to the standards. They just understand that I bought this property at X, I have to make X, and I'm going to sell it on this date, and that's all I want. And they're either, they've owned different businesses, whether it be coffee shops or car washes or condominiums. They've owned different companies, and when they come in the hotel business, if you truly don't have the heart of hospitality, George, I don't know you well, I've met you a few times, but the one thing I know is you have a heart. You can see when you're mentoring someone, or you're mentoring, whether it be an employee, executive, or an owner, that you're speaking from the heart and you're an honest, transparent person. If you're not that in the hotel business and your hotel is performing at the bottom 10%, you got to go.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. And I love that. You have to have the heart of hospitality. Maybe you should have like a whole tag, you trademark that and tagline that. I think that's great. I mean, you summed it up perfectly, for sure.
And that's really what it comes down to, because this business has challenges. I mean, when it's good, there's no better business in the world. And when it's bad, it hurts, because it's not like a lot of businesses you can shut the door for a minute. Like this, it's got to go. And if you're running 2% occupancy, a lot of your fixed expenses are there. So when it gets bad, like it has in the last couple of years, it hurts a lot. Like restaurants and hotels got hit the hardest, and it's hard to recover from that. And if you don't have the passion for this business, and I know an ownership group that's selling about 20 hotels, because they're like, we own a lot of condos. And we like that business better because we don't have to deal with customers.
Yeah, definitely not the right folks then. To be in our industry, right?
Yeah, for sure. So you were just saying a little while ago that you really started to make incredible strides back in 2021. And the truth is the economy sector has continued to move forward. But what are you seeing for this year in 2022? How are you looking forward to leveraging any particular opportunities out there? And other than expenses, what do you see some of the pitfalls out there to the hospitality community?
Yeah, sure. 2022 for Red Roof. I mean, we're already seeing some pretty decent growth over 2021 from a revenue perspective. But 2022 for Red Roof is all going to be about growth.
Right.
Growth from revenue, growth from a unit count, and growth from a room count perspective. So really focusing on opening our properties, our new properties, opening them right, getting them set up for success. That's going to be the key for Red Roof. From an industry perspective, it's about surviving kind of these two-step forward, one-step back type situations, just like we're seeing with Omicron. And so we think that hopefully it'll be over here in a week or two, and we can kind of get back to the new normal. But then maybe we'll have another Greek alphabet letter come up. And,
well, let's hope not. And I'm just really glad that I joined a fraternity in college, so I knew the Greek alphabet and I keep track of all these variants out there.
Yes.
But George, I'm thinking culture at this point here in the United States is just like over it. We're getting very close to what the UK is thinking about. We're done. We're moving on with our lives. Forget about it, right? So I'm thinking that whatever the next variant is, people are just going to be like and start to go on with their lives. Is that what your gut is telling you?
Yeah, I think so too. But the hotel, I mean, hoteliers are resilient, and so whatever gets thrown at them, I mean, we've already seen it in 2020. We saw it in 2021. Whatever curveball gets thrown at them, they're gonna knock it out the park.
So is there one position since you've been president that you said, hey, you know what, we need to add this department or this position or this person because we need a new focus on this area? Anything like that?
Yeah, sure. We've been focused on innovation.
Right.
You know, I mean, what the pandemic taught us, and we kind of knew the lesson. All of us in the hotelier world knew that lesson before, but the pandemic put it front and center, which is technology. We need to solve our guest problems with technology. We need to remove pain points with technology, and we need to always be innovative. And from a brand level, that's again another benefit of being part of a brand is that there's innovators on the brand that can look at it from a system-wide perspective. But innovation has been top of mind from day one for me.
But
Innovation.
my tongue got stuck on the top of my mouth.
I thought you were having a stroke there for a second.
Innovation costs money. So there are technologies that are good for the guest and even good for the hotel that owners just push against because it's too expensive, or they don't understand it because maybe they don't understand technology and the importance of that. And, you know, in our industry, a lot of first generation people own hotels, and then the second generation come in and convince them that, hey, you need to buy better mattresses and better flooring. And the third generation is now telling them, hey, you got to buy better technology. Are you getting pushback?
The only time we get pushback, and so before we even, we thoroughly vet any kind of new innovative technology. And, you know, take kiosks, for instance. Before we get any pushback, we make sure that this makes economic sense for our franchisees. And if it doesn't, then we won't even talk to the vendor, to the tech vendor.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, even when things make sense, they have to pay $5. They got a problem.
Right. And to be fair to everybody, before you respond, George, that this is an industry-wide problem. There's always a schism between the brands and the ownership, and sometimes it's hard to bring everybody together.
And if you can have $100 million building, right? And if they have to spend $5, they're critical.
Yeah, but the value proposition is understanding the labor costs and what this does for you. Also, it's about enhancing the experience for your team members at the property as well. If there's a robot that can help clean a room, that's going to help the housekeeper. That's going to make it a better job.
Right.
It's going to make it a better career opportunity for somebody.
Yeah.
Are there robots cleaning rooms right now?
You know, we've been looking at it. I can't wait for one. We've been talking to a few vendors, and I haven't seen them yet. I want to demo them. I heard about a automatic toilet cleaner. I haven't quite seen how that works, but I'm all ears. Like, we want to see it. We want to test it. And really see if it's going to work.
I think that's a great idea. Now, but when it comes to technology, George, you really have to think things through differently, as every brand does, to really understand what the goals are and where they are in the spectrum of brands. You're focused on economy properties. So you're not going to take every single type of a property. I mean, you're focused on economy, so you're not going to be thinking in the same way as a Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons is, perhaps, about technology. Maybe I'm wrong. How do you keep your eyes focused on only things that will make sense in your sphere and not get caught up in all this technological hoopla we see?
The key is to, like we talked about earlier, you have a true partnership with your franchisees.
Mm-hmm.
So before we roll anything out, before we make a brand standard, we sit down with our franchise advisory council. We test the technology at various franchise properties, and we make sure it's an economic fit. If it's not an operational and an economic fit to our franchisees, then we don't do it.
Right. So where are the biggest pain points that you feel you're going to be able to make demonstrable change through technology, increase guest satisfaction while lowering costs for your owners?
Well, clearly it's the check-in process.
Right.
Speeding that up, getting that to a point, and making sure that the interface of the check-in process is up to today's standards.
Right.
So you got to look at it two ways, right? So the guest check-in can go faster, but then a new associate can learn how to check in a guest almost immediately. That's the key to me, because you solve two problems. You remove the pain point for the guest, and you also remove the training time for the associate.
It drives me crazy when I go into these big hotels and I still see 30, 40 people online. I'm just like, have we not figured this out yet? And the one thing, if you teach every person that works for you at the front desk, please teach them this. If they're helping one guest and there's a guest behind them, say, I'll be with you in one moment. That drives me nuts. Yep. They ignore me like I don't exist. If you say, I'll be with you.
It's kind of what I do to him on the show, by the way.
Thank you for your patience. It really does. Talk about the customer service experience. It really changes everything, because you're acknowledging me as a human being. And a lot of people are so nervous to get them checked in, and they're having problems with technology that they just stay there because they're afraid.
No, that goes back to your tagline that I stole. The heart of hospitality, right? I mean, that's simple things to be to help enhance a guest experience, and you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, you've been doing this a long time. You're the expert.
Well, that's what it's about. So, you actually probably are going to be, by the end of the year, in more hotels than I've been in. So I want to ask you a question. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of pressure. You got all the eyes on you. You got the industry on you. You got the owners on you. You got the employee. Everybody. There's, it's a great job and it's a great gig and it's prestigious, but sometimes it sucks. So what's been the most fun about the job? And don't give me a political answer. Like, it could be a personal thing. It could be like, I don't know, you have a nice desk. I don't know. But what's the best part of your job?
The best part of the job is just getting out and seeing people. I love people.
Mm-hmm.
You win with people. Getting out, talking, joking, having a good time, and just seeing people again. I mean, I don't know about you, but during the pandemic, I started off on a folding chair and a 1920s desk working from my house, because I'd never worked from home before in my life.
Wow.
And it was 7 a.m. till midnight every single day for 2 months. And so, like, not being around people drove me crazy. So the best part about the job is that I get to go on this tour. I get to go see our franchise owners. I get to meet you'd be surprised how many people I've met who've been working the front desk at Red Roof Inn for 20, 30 years. I mean, it's been unbelievable.
Wow.
That's a really long time.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. I ask them why all the time, and I get some pretty good answers. They love the brand. They love what Red Roof stands for, and they've always wanted to be part of it. And it's an amazing phenomenon to see. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But what was it like for you? You've been in this position for 5 months, and to be fair, it takes a little while to figure everything out. So what has this process been like for you, finding yourself as a leader and defining who you want to be within your company?
Yeah. I mean, and Glenn, you and I have talked about this in the past. I mean, it's an evolution. I started off at Red Roof in 2013 as their attorney. And then in October of 2020, I became the interim president. And then last year I became the president. So it was an evolution. I mean, it's a lot different than being the lawyer.
Right.
There's some good similarities, and then there's some stuff that just doesn't even translate.
But you also have to learn how to communicate completely differently, I would think. Lawyers speak versus common folk speak.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't lawyers like to yell, right?
Yeah.
So you can't be a yeller, and and you've got to work with your team.
And you definitely don't want to be like Old Yeller, because you'll just be taken out back and shot. And that's not going to be good.
Oh, you're so funny, guys. It's very interesting. I didn't realize you started in 2013. So I did a keynote speech for you guys in 2014, 13. When
it was 13.
So when you first started.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I
believe he worked on you worked on the deal for that.
I worked
right?
on your contract.
Yeah, so I'm responsible for your success because once I came in, everything went great for you.
Well, you're 100% correct about that. The second thing was that contract we did. You had all those weird green room requirements.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Like
you should see the rider I have to deal with. On every single day.
I think the rider on my contract is he likes a bottle of water and leave him alone.
But you're exactly right. Do you remember? So we talked about this before. So I came up to you afterwards. I was all excited. You gave a great speech, great keynote, and I'll never forget what you said. You talked about the importance of revenue management. You said if you have kids in college, get them into revenue management. And that was 2013. You saw the future. And it was so profound. I came up to you afterwards and I said, "Hey, Anthony, it's so great to meet you. I'm the lawyer who did your contract." And you said to me, "You happy?"
I remember you telling me that story, and I remember that moment. And talking about revenue management, let's get back to that for a second. Thank you for the compliment. When I was at the Lucerne Hotel, I was 29, 30 years old. So that was 26 years ago. And we had a reservation manager, and I promoted her to revenue manager. And it was when I was just learning the word yield management. And she's like, "Well, what does a revenue manager do?" And I was like, "Well, you manage revenue." "Well, how do I do that?" "Just do exactly what you're doing, but we're going to have you report to me. You're not going to report to the director of sales anymore." And the sales director lost her mind. And I said, "Listen, you got to find your mind or leave. And I love you. You're a great salesperson, but I want you to sell. I don't you need," and you know as well as anyone, that relationship between the reservation manager and the sales manager, it's when you go into war, right? There was a general that went into war. He was actually a colonel, full-bird colonel, Persian Gulf War, left that very short war a 4-star general. And people were like, "How do you get promoted from colonel to 4-star general?" "Well, he's in charge of logistics. And every time he had a problem, a 1-star general was busting his chops. So they just kept promoting him. By the time it was over, he was a 4-star telling everybody what to do." I took the same kind of thought process about revenue management. It's like, you cannot be arguing with the sales manager. You've got to have the same level. You have to have the same ability to come to me and basically tell her, that this is what we're going to do, and vice versa, or him. So I really felt very early on that when I did the analysis, and again, not to piss off a lot of salespeople out there, but 80% of the revenue is coming through revenue management.
Sure.
And that's why it became such a big thing. But I remember people were talking about yield management back when I first started NBC Switch in Overland Park, Kansas. And I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, well, why would you? Because at that particular time, it would be like, I remember you'd get a brochure, the seasonal rate is, $79 or whatever it is, right? Yeah. So how are you thinking about revenue management and helping your team be more successful in that regard?
Sure. No, Anthony, I mean, you brought up a great point. I mean, there's always going to be tension between sales and revenue management. And that's really, to me, good tension. That's healthy tension. That's the kind of debates that I like to have within the Red Roof organization. From a sales perspective, is this good? Is this better for us? Does this put a business into the hotel? From a revenue management perspective, how can we drive rate? How can we grow RevPARs? Those kind of things. But we talked about revenue management in 2013. Now Red Roof, we talk about revenue generation. So we look at it from a more holistic perspective as opposed to somebody who's just sitting on a computer and lifting rates and lowering rates and all that kind of stuff. So we're talking about revenue generation from a holistic perspective, which includes sales. And so it's been exceptionally good for us.
I actually think I'm going to change my theory about that. I'm not going to call it revenue management, revenue generation. I like that so much better because it really, it's a different mindset. Yeah. Because, whether you're managing or you're developing, the difference between a coach in the dugout of a Major League Baseball team or the general manager, it's two different things. One's generating the future and one is managing the team today. And I think that that's a whole mind shift I haven't heard somebody else say. So I'm going to actually incorporate that into my business.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, it's been key for us. One of the reasons we had such a banner year in 2021. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
It's because of Glenn, right? No, because
Well,
you're working with Glenn very closely, and
Yeah.
I know, he does a lot of work for you. And so it really is. It started with me. That's what got you promoted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now everything's floating up
Coming
because of
so
Glenn.
full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
I know.
Holy crap, Glenn. We are
Here we
really
go.
I
important.
thank you for putting them on the right path so they could afford me.
Yeah,
I-
exactly.
The two of you guys are the kingmakers.
That's right.
You're the kingmakers of the industry.
Oh, we got a problem. We're going out of business.
Yeah, I know. Gordon says he loves the term generate, and that's really, I also, it's like an attitude, right?
Yeah.
By positioning in that particular way. Fun fact for everybody out there: according to STR, the last week of 2021, RevPAR industry wide highest of all time.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
RevPAR in 2021 last
No,
quarter?
the last week of
That's-
2021.
the last week.
Yeah.
But still, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So it's one of the things that I'm learning here at Alice is that story of the haves and have-nots is continuing to play itself out. And the prognosticators are saying that's the way it's going to be for the next 2, 3, 4 years. They're all revising their predictions and, claiming we'll be back to things by 2024. But interestingly enough, George, it feels like you guys are kind of aside from all of that. You're kind of like looking into the fray going, I'm sorry that you guys are dealing with all these issues, but people are coming to our hotels in greater numbers than ever before. So if they're already coming and theoretically you have less wiggle room to keep pushing those rates, how do you continue to push forward? Because we all know you got to push rates every single year or else you're going to start to fall backwards.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I mean, but it goes back to guest experience. You got
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that your guests have a great experience at your hotel. You got to make sure that they want to come back, and that's what's going to ultimately lead to pushing more rate, getting higher RevPARs, those kind of things. It's all about that. It's interesting to think about. I mean, if you guys like history, you think about the Spanish flu, right? Everybody talked about it. It's a similar type of
Mhm.
pandemic. What happened right after the Spanish flu was effectively over? We went into the Roaring 20s.
That's right.
So I think we're on the precipice of that. I mean, we're on the cusp of everybody sort of seeing what life was like when you had to stay home or you had this pandemic, and people are going to come out, and the pent up demand is going to continue through this year, and I think for several years after that.
Everybody-
Anthony, you've been saying that since summer 2020.
Yeah, everybody I know is on vacation. I was like, somebody take me, will you?
Yeah.
Listen, I think you're exactly right. I think people are going to get back to it, and people are getting back to it. And,
Mhm.
and I just want to go back because I don't want to kind of really kind of make it simpler than it is. This variant, when people getting back to work, it's simply because I had it, right? I had the variant 3-4 weeks ago. And it was a really, really bad headache, and I couldn't really move. But once I was over it, it was fine. So it wasn't as threatening. So Glenn, you asked, it's like, well, if there's another variant, people are just going to go on their life. It depends, right? If it's kind of COVID light like this was, where you just get a headache and back pain, and you in 5 days you go back to your business. But it depends. So I really think it's still, we still remember the first we went to almost flat, and I was like, everybody's getting too comfortable.
Yeah, right.
People are not appreciating what we just went through. Same thing. It's like we've just got not so much worried about COVID, but just appreciate the freedoms. Last night we were in at an event down in the speakeasy in this hotel, and I felt like I was 12 again because I just sat by myself in a little corner and watched the band perform and watched people smile and laugh and dance, and it was just so like. I felt good. Like I appreciated every moment of what was happening. I appreciated that people weren't worried about whether you were wearing a mask or not a mask. So as long as we continue to appreciate that we could all be locked out again, I think, people will have that mindset. But I don't think we should just go not understand where we've been. Because what happens when you forget where you've been? You go back there.
Yeah, no, life is short, and taking it. I mean, taking for granted what we had, we all did pre-pandemic, and now, like you said, just being in a speakeasy and seeing people have a good time, that's valuable to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's meaningful to you, and that's that's the one positive that came out of this pandemic is a kind of a new appreciation for humanity, right, for our lives.
Yeah, and I hope that brands like yours really understand that and do something and put systems in place and put money behind it where supervisors and managers are getting the training to really deal with their mental health issues. Now, we're not mental health experts, and we shouldn't be, but a supervisor should be able to look into the housekeeper's eyes or a manager into a supervisor's eyes and say, hey, I think you need a little help. Instead of being critical and being a disciplinarian and saying, hey, you're coming in late. It's like, what is going on? And I think that's one thing that we're kind of, again, we're just not thinking about. Every one of us has had stress, and every one of us is probably dealing with it differently, and some well and some not so well. So I think we have to be more in tune as leaders and as managers and supervisors.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it on stage yesterday, and this is something we've been talking about a lot at Red Roof. You have to meet your employee where they are, and if they need mental health help, if they're having issues in their personal lives that are prohibiting them from doing the right things from their job perspective, you have to understand that nowadays. 5 years ago, the employee wasn't working out, you would terminate them. If the employee couldn't come to work,
Right.
you would terminate them. Now you buy them a car. Right. I mean, you do the things, or you help them with a bus pass. You do the things that can meet the employee where they are to help them help your business.
Well, Glenn's going to buy me a plane because I couldn't get to work the other day. He said, we're going to buy me a plane.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly right. But, I'm just generous that way. So what can I tell you, George? Did you want the A380 or the 747?
I want one that goes up and comes down and I don't die.
All right. So George, we're to bring it back to Alice for a second. When we were here and we had we hung out with each other a little bit back at the July event, it seemed like things were a little bit different. How do you feel we've come from that Alice to this Alice in terms of the perception you're seeing from the executives and all the other folks that are attending this event?
Well, like I said earlier, I think that the industry recovery remains bullish. I mean, folks are talking about it. They're excited for what's to come. They're looking a lot in the mid-scale, upscale, luxury, or looking for the business traveler to come back. That's going to take a little bit more time. At Red Roof, we have the essential business traveler, and they've been back. They never stopped. But so that's the key for our counterparts in the industry is business travel getting back. But the other thing I think, we talk about it, everybody's bullish, but everybody is still trying to make up for the losses from 20 and some for 21. So we still need to advocate with our government. We still need to work with our congressmen. We still need benefits for our hotels so we can really get back to where we were.
So let me throw this out there. Anthony, we're going to have on next Wednesday for a few minutes, Chip Rogers from the HLA is going to be joining us on an update. But one of the things that he said yesterday is that the industry lost about $110 billion since this crisis began. But the government has been able to create programs that have returned about $50 billion. But that's still a significant amount that needs to be met. So that's a big challenge that's out there. Are you so how do you think your fellow hoteliers out there are managing in general through this crisis? Because I got to tell you, from my point of view, it seems like everyone did an exceptional job dealing with this crisis.
Oh, no question. I mean, and Anthony brought it up earlier, the heart of hospitality. I mean, this industry is resilient in every single way. We've seen these types of downturns in the past. We've always come out stronger as a result, and we're certainly coming out stronger as a result of this pandemic as well. I mean, we're resilient as an industry. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and I think what's really come out of this, to your point, the resiliency is these young managers. We'll talk about David, our producer. He got thrown into the fire, and he's a young man. He's in his early 30s or mid 30s.
Yeah.
And he is struggling through this pandemic with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
On the end of this, when the smoke clears, hopefully, he has no idea the college he just went to. He has no idea all the PhDs he just got, all the pain and all this, because in 5 years, that's going to basically equate to wisdom. Right. I realized at 40, I got two things. One, I had to wake up in the middle of the night, and two, I got wisdom. Right. And all of a sudden he turns 40. It's like all these struggles you've been through. We've been through 2008. We've been through the union wars in New York. And so at the age of 40, I was like, wow, I'm a really smart guy. I know a lot of stuff because of all the pain I've gone through and all the challenges. And if you stay in the fight and you have a positive attitude, you become more valuable. That's another thing that we have to really tell employees, that you become a lot more valuable, because if you've been through this, like David's been through this, he's been through all the problems that's happening in New York City right now, he becomes a guy you want to have on your team because he's a fighter. Out of all else, the one thing we want on our team are fighters. We want people pure heart, but you're a fighter. To me, you're a very nice person. You don't raise your voice very often. And if you do, probably everybody should leave the room and pray.
Just at me backstage
Right.
at their events.
And three, but you're a dog on a bone. You don't give up. You just fight and you fight and you fight and you fight. And I think that is who we are as an industry. Is we have big hearts, but don't count us out, because we will win. And I think that we have to really get that to the line employees and supervisors, that as long as you love this business, you have a true heart, you're going to be okay.
Oh yeah, you're so right about that. We have a great franchisee out of Houston, Texas. He's 26, 27 years old, and we had a great conversation about what the pandemic did is, in the past and he's an Indian American, and they have a great culture, and they defer to their elders. And he said, George, the pandemic leveled the playing field. I no longer have to defer to my father or my grandfather. They were calling me for advice. So when you talk about your producer and the experience, I mean, the war that we've all been through, I mean, if you were sitting on the sidelines of the hospitality industry during the pandemic, you're obsolete.
Right.
Because you no longer know kind of what everybody went through. And this is the heart of the resiliency. This is the heart of hospitality. I mean, it's just,
and I think instead of kind of making the people who've been through it not appreciate what they've been through. Give you an example. If you have an employee that's been through this and fought for you, hopefully they have more confidence. Hopefully they can fight for themselves. Hopefully they demand, maybe more money or more of a position or more responsibility. And it's okay as long as they do it in a professional way. And in this industry, when you spoke up for $1, or you spoke up for a day off, or you spoke up, you seemed weak. You seemed like you weren't grateful. You seemed like, go back behind the front desk, go back in housekeeping and shut up. We're going to give you more to do and you're going to like it. Now we have to really inspire those people, whether young or old, and say, please tell me what's on your mind. Please, we have to give them a real forum for that flexibility of thought, for that. Like, I've been in this situation when I was younger. It's like, I'm not complaining. I 100% not complaining, but these are my issues. Can you please help me with these issues? And 90% of the time, no. 90% of the time, I had to go back into the corner and shut up. There's a gentleman, I won't mention his name, that we probably all know, and we had that conversation. And he basically said I was ungrateful, I was not appreciative, and that I am very lucky that I have a job. I
have a suspicion I know who that is.
And I resigned. 2 weeks later, and got the best job of my life, running the Plaza Hotel at night. And to this day, the gentleman, sometimes I see him and I won't even look at him, because he had me in his palm of his hand. All he had to do was just talk to me like a gentleman, and I probably would have worked for him for 20 years and did everything I could have done for him. And that's, to me, the most important part of what we're going through now. We have to allow people to express themselves and not have now, again, you're disrespectful and you're rude and you're not appreciative. That's one thing. But people want to know, what is it out there for me? You're making money. You're the president. This person's making money. They're developing hotels. But man, I'm here at 4:00 in the morning making $15 an hour. What does my life look like 60 days from now, 6 months from now? And that is what this industry does a very, very bad job at, that I've seen it improve over years, but it's been terrible from my perspective.
No question. I mean, we're seeing an evolution of the hospitality worker.
Right.
And it's a positive evolution, in my opinion. And actually somebody brought it up yesterday, and I can't remember which session, or if it was during the AHLA meetings. They talked about a restaurant, and it's true of the hospitality. It's true of a hotel as well. There's no real hierarchy in a restaurant, because if you don't have a hostess, you can't seat people. If you don't have a dishwasher, you can't turn tables. If you don't have a wait, you don't have a cook. It goes on and on. Same with the hotels. If you don't have housekeepers, if you don't have front desk, you can't operate your hotel. If you don't have maintenance, you don't have this. you cannot operate your hotel. And so I think people are evolving. To your point, I think people, hotel workers are starting to say, okay, it's okay to have mental health issues. It's okay to have conversations with my boss about how to make the work environment better. It's okay to ask for a little bit more from a raise perspective. I mean, see, all these things are now put on the forefront as a result of what we've gone through in the last 2 years. And I think it's a positive thing. The other interesting thing to me is I went to these 79 hotels. I expected to see burnout.
Right.
I expected to see team members that are just, they had it with the pandemic and they're exhausted. And this, I saw so much enthusiasm. I saw so much love for our industry and so much willingness to keep going. And I mean, it was just, I tell you, Anthony, it was so inspiring to see. And I think that's where we are as an industry.
Well, I think those people on the front lines of our industry are just naturally those people. They naturally pop out of bed in the morning and they see the sunshine through the rain. And I think that as long as you're inspiring them and you're there, when you go to a hotel and it's my hotel and I'm, and have a front desk agent, does that front desk agent know you're checking in, or you check in kind of like you just show up and?
No, when we do these tours, we make sure they know that. Sometimes the front desk folks don't know that I'm the president of Red Roof. I guess I'm not sure what presidents should look like, but maybe I don't look exactly like that. And so it's surprising to them. And they say, really? And I've said, yeah, I know. It's surprising to me too. So
you should do undercover work. So when you go to these hotels, do you smell new paint? Because Mr. Marriott used to say, if I smell new paint going through my hotels, someone's getting fired because I've ruined more suits. Because everybody goes, we had that instance because Marriott was thinking about getting involved with Nickelodeon. And when I was down there, Mr. Marriott was coming down. And of course, the first thing I do is I get the team and go, okay, we were in good shape anyway, but it's like, okay, let's do this, let's do that. And they're like, we can't paint. It's like, why? It's like, because Mr. Marriott get mad if he smells paint. So I went and found paint that doesn't smell, but we still painted. No, we still painted. I was like, okay, I don't care. We're painting. Just make sure we get paint that doesn't smell.
Well, good move. What we see is the duvets. So we see brand new duvets taken straight out of the package, still with the fold marks on it.
Right.
So,
see, and I've done that too with owners. Like, and I always say, get a steamer and steam out there.
Exactly.
Right.
I've done that. It's like, if you're gonna be a crook, be a good crook. If you're gonna do it, like, don't get caught doing it, man.
That's right. Well, it's a good test. If you can get it right, when I come to your hotel, then it's a pretty good test. If you get it really wrong, that's another good test.
Well, what always amazed me on my show when people said, well, they know you're coming and everybody postures or whatever. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's because, that posturing lasts 30 seconds and you see through it. So you see through the clean duvet, or if you're a well-oiled machine as a hotel, it's undeniable. And if you're not, it's undeniable. Period. End of story. And so, but what was your biggest surprise? And I'll just say positive surprise. I don't want you to be, because I'm sure you had some negative ones, but what was your biggest wow moment in the 79 visits?
Well, it's kind of what I just said. I mean, it's
just one individual wow.
Oh, one individual wow moment. Wow.
Was there one person that just really stood out that was just like, wow?
Yeah, we had a great visit in Pigeon Forge. Pigeon Forge is the home of Dollywood.
Yeah.
Love that place.
I want to go there so bad.
The owner and the general manager, both incredible people. We had a great dinner with them, great conversation. The owner started working in convenience stores, had no money in his pocket, came from India, and now he's running a great hotel, making tons and tons of money. The GM looks like Santa Claus. And he does charitable Santa Claus events.
Right.
And sitting down and hearing both their stories, really one of the biggest moments that stands out in my mind. Really great people that are working for this company. It's incredibly inspiring.
Yeah. So yes, I hear Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. It's a place I got to see. And then in 20 years, when I'm old enough, I'm going to go check out Branson. I'm looking forward to doing that.
I was in Missouri in the Air Force. It was 1986, and we went up to Branson to go on the lake and the Ozarks and all that stuff. And I remember they were just building Branson. And I was like, who the hell is going to come here? like they're building Disney World in the middle of Missouri.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, good luck and God bless you. It's the most driven to destination in America.
Yeah, and then before you know it, you got Yakov Smirnoff doing 10:30 a.m. sold out shows.
Yeah, I think he finally got out of
I
that.
think he did too, but he was there for a lot of
making a lot of
years.
Branson money.
Yeah. So, George, before we wrap up today, one thing that I've noticed is obviously all the big companies continue to consolidate and add more and more brands to their portfolios. And it's really becoming a situation where now we have these mega companies. Yet you folks are there with a real sharp focus on the economy segment. How are you managing to keep that segment? And how are you managing to not be tempted to go into all of these other areas because all of the other brands are doing it themselves?
Yeah. No, I mean, we talked about our DNA earlier. I mean, it's always been in our DNA to be in the economy segment. We know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do it really well. We think we do it really well.
Yeah.
And we stay true to ourselves. I mean, that's what Red Roof was founded on. That's what Red Roof has been for almost 50 years. And why would we change that? And we're excited with where we're at.
Not to go backwards and talk about other presidents of the company for the last 20 years, 30 years, whatever. What do you bring that's different that Red Roof hasn't seen? Why are you
Greek
different?
spirit?
Why are you different?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think what I bring to the table is that I come from a hotelier family. Okay. My grandfather was one of the first La Quinta franchisees in the state of Ohio. He had a full service Sheraton. I've worked in a hotel for 2.5 years. I worked full time during college at Ohio State. I worked at a full service Holiday Inn. So I'm not coming from a place that's kind of out of touch. I really understand what operators and owners are going through. I understand what the front desk and the housekeepers are going through because I've done all those things. And so I think that's maybe a bit of a differentiator. And also, you know, and Anthony and I, or Glenn and I've talked about this in the past. I grew up in a place, Youngstown, Ohio. It's a different type place, and you know, you sort of you do things differently. It's a different type of humility that you bring to the table every day. You put your hard hat on, you go to work, and that's kind of the mentality I try to bring to Red Roof.
Beautiful, absolutely terrific. George, anything that you want to say before we wrap up?
So you know, we play that. We've always played that game together, Glenn, where we do our icebreakers.
Yes.
So I got a few for you if you want to do them.
Yeah, sure.
Can join in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to start with an easy one.
Yep.
Favorite karaoke song to sing?
Danke Shane. How about you, Anthony?
I do not sing karaoke. I will never sing karaoke.
Well, you see,
and I almost got into a fist fight in Hawaii because the contractor pushed me to do karaoke.
well, the beauty of Danke Shane is you could do it ironically, and then you don't have to worry about sounding good or looking
Well,
good.
if I had one, and if I was ever going to do it,
Right.
it would be "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel.
No, perfect. Perfect. I like Bohemian Rhapsody. All right. Last
Yeah,
one.
That's
Last
a little
one.
complicated.
Last one. Last
All
one.
right,
We'll start
okay.
A positive one.
All right.
Best
I thought the last one was extremely positive.
best piece of advice you've ever gotten.
Oh, Anthony, you want to start with this one?
Best piece of advice I've ever been given?
Yep.
Do a little bit more, you go a lot further, by Colonel Hallam's United States Air Force.
Yeah, I don't know. Best piece of advice I've ever been given, honestly. Oh, that's really lame of me right now.
That's all right.
Come on.
Mine is fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
Oh, that's been my whole effort.
that's my career. Yeah.
Let just for a second, let's just kind of look at that for a second. Fake it till you make it.
Mhm.
It's a funny saying. It's a saying that people use as a throwaway. And what does that mean? To me, what it means is you obviously have enough information and enough experience to be doing what you're doing. Now, stop worrying about what you don't know and let the experiences that you do have bring you forward. And when you get to the corner that you don't know what to do, that's when you fake it till you make it, which means you ask questions, you maybe hold back, whatever you need to do. So it's not so much that you're a fake, it's just that how many people really have the experience? When you're a doctor, you're doing brain surgery, right?
Yeah.
You went to school, you know how to do brain surgery. But really, you kind of like, you're not the most experienced person in the room. Are you faking it till you make it? No. But you're depending on all the things that are not tangible to really tell you, okay, I got to sit back. I got to watch that doctor or that nurse or whatever. That's what it is. And it's probably fake it till you make it's the most important phrase that we have because it is so valuable. It's because a lot of people, because they feel like they're faking it, they back out and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. So it's not faking it. It's just figuring it out. And, I always say, I'm a really good tap dancer.
So based on that, actually a great piece of advice I got is act as if, right? So you don't have to be the best at it, but if you act at it and have the right mindset to it, eventually you will get to the point where you internalize that and you become that, which I think is a really good thing.
And I think I just learned this through life is, why not me? Why not me, good or bad? It's like golf. I broke my ankle. All the places I had to sit down for 7 weeks. Why not? People break their ankles. Why not me? I've had some success. Why not me? I deserve it. I've worked really hard. Snoop Dogg said it the best. I want to thank me.
Yeah.
That's the best. For getting up in the morning, I want to thank me for doing all that hard work. And it's true. We don't do it enough. It's like, and when he said that, I was like, you know what? It's the first time I ever said thank you to myself because it's true. I did a lot of effort and work to get where we are, where I am. And you guys have too. And so we just need to, I think if the pandemic does anything, is it gives you clarity of what's important. And that's why we're talking about the big quit. And that's why we're talking about the flexibility. And what didn't happen 10, 20 years ago is we didn't have alternatives. If you were a front desk clerk, you didn't have alternatives. Now you do. Now you can go drive an Uber. Now you can go to Amazon. So we as a community have to be better.
Beautiful. George, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you stopping by our studios here at the Wayfarer Hotel. Live from Alice. See you soon, George.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Take care.
Just hang out there. Anthony, let's wrap this show up real quick. So be sure to download the audio podcast version. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you like to download your shows. Well, we are there for you. If you want to reach out to us personally, he's at Anthony Hotels and I'm at Traveling Glenn.
George is my favorite guest. You know why?
Why?
He brought games.
Yeah.
We don't have to do all the work.
Yeah, which is always a relief. I like not having to do a lot of work, but we like it a lot more when you guys tune into us every day, Monday through Thursday. Remember, tomorrow, we got another great show. We got the one and only Bruce Ford talking about the new construction pipeline. We got Craig Sullivan here. All of us are going to be talking about what is really happening in hospitality. And, of course, special Friday night audit at 5 p.m. West Coast time, 8 p.m. East Coast time. Live from the Wayfarer Hotel. If you're in LA, come by, join us. All right, everybody, remember, you got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See you tomorrow.
And don't talk over the graphic.